What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
Miller.
And we have an album review for you here in the Dungeon of Doom over at Miller's. We are going to go over the latest offering from Clutch, Sunrise on Slaughter Beach. This album comes out on the 16th of September on Weathermaker Music, which is Clutch's own label. Band formed in 1991 in Maryland. This is their 13th album overall, and, well, all right, they're not necessarily metal. Be completely transparent about that, but I've been a fan for a long fucking time.
Me too.
Honestly, the first time I ever saw them were with metal bands. They actually toured with them a lot. The first time I saw them, they were touring with Vision of Disorder, of all bands. And I love this band. It's straight up blues rock, a lot of like stoner stuff, just kind of a funky boogie to it. It's Clutch. Like, if you've heard Clutch, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, listen to some Clutch. That's the only way I could really just put it. It's just fun music to shake your ass to and listen to riffs.
There's nothing very thought-driven on it, I guess, or it doesn't put you in a place where you're contemplating it. It's just a good time, a good listen, solid usually all the way through with most of their albums. And if you like that good blues, boogie, shuffle, you know, this band is going to be for you. And you probably already know them, but in my experience with Clutch and talking to other musicians and stuff, especially metal, like Clutch is a band that's very revered by a lot of metal musicians because as a musician, you tend to appreciate the musicianship behind stuff and it not necessarily being what you're identified in a genre, but just the musicianship of it. And Clutch is a great band full of great musicians.
Yeah, they deliver the goods consistently. I've seen this band live, I think, more times than any other band.
It's got to be up there for me, too.
Yeah, and
my wife has put a cease order on Clutch, and that is not lying. She's like, I don't want to see Clutch again, or Primus. I was like, okay, baby.
Well, at least the band hasn't, like, put a restraining order against you for seeing them too many. Like, you've been at too many shows, man. Go home. Your kid's like, no, I just want to live in the back of the bus. So, when this was coming out, I had this on my radar. I wasn't like the biggest fan of the last one, Book of Bad Decisions. I thought it was good. You know, Clutch knows how to write good albums. I really don't think they have a flat-out bad one. But that one didn't grab me very much. Earthrocker and Psychic Warfare definitely had like kind of a big renewed punch to them after, you know, maybe an album or two that was just kind of missing.
Especially Earthrocker for me. Earthrocker hit hard when I first heard that. That was like the Clutch that like reinvigorated my love of the band, really.
And this one, well, I didn't know what to expect. I only jammed one single, and that was the title track, and I thought it kind of had this cool, kind of bluesy boogie. Production's very organic, but it's different this time. And it's partially due to them choosing a different producer. They actually got Tom Dalgetty, who's actually worked with Ghost and Royal Blood before, I think even the Pixies too. And he knows how to do, like, very organic, jammy bands, but at the same time, he knows how to make them big and grand. And production-wise, this is a little bit different, and to some extent, this is a little bit different than other Clutch albums, but again, it's still very rooted in what you expect from Clutch. I mean, right from the rip, the opening track, Red Alert, Boss, Metal Zone, Visual Aid, right here. You know, I mean, it's a reference to the pedal, and it's just an up-tempo rocker. And, I mean, honestly, all right, this opening track, it's energetic, it's fun, there's some good high-energy tracks here, but this one didn't really grab me because I felt like I heard it before. Namely, it sounded like X-Ray Vision, it sounded like Earthrocker, kind of sounded like Mercury off of Blast Tyrant.
Yeah, which is okay. They want to start out with a bang. Your albums usually do. They come out and grab you and say, hey, this is Clutch, this is what you love, this is what you expect. But the chorus on this, for me in particular, didn't grab me as much as some of the choruses that Neil's had in the past, especially because the dude has written some very fantastic, he's a fantastic vocalist, lyric. He's just awesome. I love Neil.
I have no idea what he's saying sometimes, but I will follow him into battle because he says it so passionately. His bluesy delivery, that gruffness, that bellowing yell that he'll just bring out of nowhere and going back down to that sweet crooning. He's awesome.
Yeah, and if we ever go to battle as a country, Neil has to give the speech. We will win if Neil gives a speech.
What the hell did he say? Like, I don't know, something about fucking reptiles and driving fast. Let's do it. I don't know. I feel like fighting. But as this album goes on, the one thing that really stood out to me is Tim Salt. Tim Salt, you know, very riffy guitarist. Like, he loves doing just big, hooky rock riffs. His tone is usually very warm and fuzzy with like a little bit of crunch to it. And he likes doing these little fun noodles in between the riffs. This one is a little bit different. Now, while you do get that, because that is Tim's main wheelhouse, he is supplying a lot more to atmosphere in here. There's more spacey stuff. There's more like cosmic stuff. When you get down to songs like Mercy Brown and the absolutely infectious Skeletons on Mars, he just kind of opens up the wheelhouse. They throw in some synths in the background and even a fucking theremin. And he's just doing these spacey effects and just kind of jamming. Like, it becomes like an open jam again. And that was kind of something that was a little bit missing on some other Clutch albums recently. It's like that sort of open jam session thing. Like, let's go where the song takes us. And this one went all the way to Mars and then, I don't know, sort of danced around in a fucking flying saucer or some horse shit. I don't know. It wasn't the probing kind, I'm pretty sure. They seemed like they were all having fun, but the song is fun. The song is adventurous, and like I said, Tim Salt not just laying down riffs and just like the standard solos that he does. It's more about atmosphere and sort of creating a mood and letting the rhythm section just fucking roll, because Dan Maines and Jean-Paul Gaster, that's one of my favorite rhythm sections out there.
If you're a fan of Clutch and you know Clutch, you got to be a fan of his drumming. And for me as a musician and a wannabe drummer, he is someone that I look to for sure. His solid pocket presence is apparent right off the bat and has been for his entire career. That dude, him and like Chad Smith are like human metronomes, you know, and they're so on point. They're so tight with everything. His blues shuffles are textbook. There isn't anything that guy hasn't done that hasn't like been like, damn, that's just crisp, clean. Even the most basic drum beats sometimes that he plays, just the way he attacks them, the way he plays them, and everybody in this band, and you mentioned the production and making him sound big. The cool thing about this is the band doesn't need too much help to do that. They're very dynamic in the way they naturally play if you've seen them live. So from a production standpoint, that makes it easier on us guys, because we don't have to do too much, you know, add a couple layers here and there. But the band does a great job on their own, naturally, with the way they play and making those dynamics and making those verses drop off a little bit like Neil does, the spoken word stuff, and then making those choruses hit in hard because they're playing softer and they're playing louder. It's not just one fucking whitewash at -6 dB.
And there's always good variety on their albums. Like, you know, there's a uniform Clutch sound. You know, if you've been listening to Clutch long enough, you realize there is a uniform Clutch sound, but it's kind of what they do within that style. Because despite this being, you know, mostly straightforward blues rock / stoner rock, whatever the hell you want to call it, there is sort of a broadness to it in terms of what they can do. Like, you know, lyrical themes can be anywhere from cosmic to religious to political
to nothing
to complete, utter nonsense.
Building a fort.
To a fucking pedal for a guitar. Let's write a song about that. Fuck it, why not?
Hey, Kurt will tell you too, there ain't nothing wrong with this fucking pedal.
Dude, I'm pretty sure Neil was telling us there was nothing wrong with it. But, you know, they can get like, you know, kind of soft and sullen, like the last track on here, Jackhammer Our Names, which honestly I was looking for like a big heavy song at the end.
Jackhammer.
Yeah, but it's this kind of doomy, bluesy, almost like Planet Caravan-ish, sort of like Black Sabbath sort of.
It's got a weird, like you said, a doomy serenity about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a total chill, calm feeling, but it's like underlying threat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just a weird feeling of a song, and it's pretty unique. I dug it too.
I like the kind of sullen, reflective lyrics and just the kind of gravelly, bluesy croon that, you know, Neil knows how to deliver there. But this album has its heavier moments, namely Nosferatu Madre, which has a nice kind of slow, kind of chuggy riff, again, very Sabbathy. And Mountain of Bone, which, I don't know, like for the first time, I think ever, I would describe Clutch is kind of spooky in spots here. Like, it's kind of Halloween-y. Like, it takes that desert rock motif, like kind of like cruising in the open desert, like, you know, kind of Caius-y, but there's like this underlying spookiness, and you definitely hear that in Mercy Brown and the last track because they throw in some haunting female vocals in there, and
really adds to it.
It does.
Really
it adds a lot to it.
We get on some of that shit with some people. This is pretty well done, and it's not, you know, it's only in that one song, and it fits for what they're doing. It fits the mood. It fits the song. Everything fits about it. So naturally, we like it.
Yeah, and generally, I bitch about theremins, and the one that's on Skeletons of Mars, it's good. I hate theremins. Theremins are fucking annoying. Unless you're doing like 1960s sci-fi movies and shit like that, put that fucking thing away.
And in Nosferatu Madre, one of the things I noticed here is that I just love the guitar tone. I love the bass tone and how well they work together. And that's the thing. Their tones on their own are good. But when they combine those, they make a conscious effort to mold their sounds together. They have to, because it doesn't, a bass and a guitar does not sound that good together without there being an effort behind that. A lot of bands don't put the effort in. They have the bass, and the bass player does his thing, and the guitarist does his thing. They rarely think about how those instruments interact with one another, and this band does. You can tell they think about all the instruments and the role they play and how they're going to play it and the way to do it effectively. And Nosferatu Madre is an example of how a basic drum pattern and a basic bass pattern can just sound monumental. And it's just two instruments, and it's two guys, and that's what it comes down to. Clutch has always done a good job with that and that sort of thing. But some of the shortcomings for me on this album was a little bit like in Red Alert. It sounded like I'd heard that chorus before. It's kind of repeated, like, this sounds like this song or that song or that song, which when you're in 13 albums in your discography and you're chugging along and you are doing your thing, it's gonna happen naturally. But one of the things that can be fixed is like transitions, and there were a very few, and this is nitpicky stuff because we have to come up with something bad. There were a few transitions that were a little abrupt or rough or whatever, like in Mountain of Bone. The song is killer. I love the song, but the chorus, when they lead out of that bridge into the chorus, it just kind of happens, and it's not unusual for Clutch to do that. They kind of have that, what I've described as the George Carlin, there's no transition. It's just now, this thing and that thing and that thing, which works for the most part in Clutch, but there are a few spots here like Mountain of Bone where it kind of sticks out a little bit, but nitpicky.
Yeah, and my nitpick, it's kind of a universal thing on the album. The stuff that sounds more up-tempo, more high energy, like namely We Strive for Excellence and Red Alert and some of the more high energy stuff, that's the stuff that feels a little bit more generic to me. Like, again, like we've heard these songs before. It's when they slow down and get more adventurous in terms like the soundscapes and the atmosphere, the moodier stuff. That was the stuff that really grabbed me in here. And generally, I like the more high energy stuff. But the high energy stuff kind of was lacking in actual energy. It just felt like kind of cut and paste rocky Clutch songs.
Yeah, some of the guitar stuff on that, when he was like riffing out on those big chords, just seemed a little uninspired. I dug his creativity when he added the effects and stuff, which is normally something that I don't like. But again, going back to the musicianship of these guys, when you have a guy that knows what the hell he's doing, you can do whatever. You put as many effects on you as you want. If the guy knows what he's doing, he knows what he's doing. It's when you're hiding improper playing technique with effects that it really grates on me a little bit. Yeah,
I mean, Tim Salt's playing on here is excellent. I think his work with different effects on here is one of the things that really drew me in. And, the overall tone on this, it's not like the stereotypical Clutch tone. Like, it's a little bit more of like a dirty rock tone. It doesn't have a lot of like the warmth and fuzz. There's like a chunkiness to it, but it's not like a thick, heavy metal chunkiness. But
it adds to that what you were getting at specifically, that kind of like eerie, dreary doominess that kind of overlies the album, which is really weird to say for a Clutch album, because usually it's so upbeat and happy, and it's like not happy, but it's upbeat, it's up tempo, but there's just like this overlying like eerie, uneasy kind of a little bit.
I mean, spacey too. Like, I mean, the obvious comparison here would be like Spacecraft, but there's something like, again, like it's more like dark. Like, I don't know, like Spacecraft feels more cosmic and weird, and you definitely get that in here, but there's like darker stuff in here that is like a little bit moodier, and I just kind of dug that. But overall, I mean, this is a Clutch album. Like that's like bare minimum what I could say. But honestly, I enjoyed this, and I really wasn't sure what I was going to get, because, again, the last album, I liked it, but I kind of felt like it was a lot of retread. And, long discography, you're going to get some retread. These guys have a sound that is, theirs, and they're going to keep doing it. But overall, I like this one. I'm going to go ahead and give it 3.5 stars. It's not perfect, and there's definitely some retread on it, but I like the spacier stuff, the more atmospheric stuff in here. That really grabbed me. They kind of showed me that there's still like areas to branch out on and try more stuff. Neil sounds fucking fantastic. They're all playing like, you know, top level once again. Like one of my favorite rhythm sections in all of rock. And Tin Salt, honestly, I think this is one of his best performances in their entire discography. Like this really just does some really wild stuff just outside of just rock and riffs. If you've never checked out Clutch, I don't know if I'd recommend this one right away, but I'd say definitely listen to it. But, I mean, it depends on what you're going for. Like, if you want the big rockin' stuff, get fucking Earth Rocker and jam the shit out of that. Blast Tyrant, the self-titled. Get fucking weird.
A lot of them.
Yeah. Just jam some Clutch. That's the important part.
And I'm going to go with a 3.5 out of 5 as well, because I'm a big Clutch fan. I dug this album. It didn't disappoint. It wasn't, like you said, it wasn't perfect. And there was some rehash stuff, but I dug most of it, and some of the stuff that seemed rehash is what I liked. I like We Strive for Excellence. I kind of dig the story. It seemed like a dude's out building a fort or something like that. I don't know. I got to look up the lyrics, but
gotta get my merit badges.
You got that in that song especially. You got all of Clutch in there. You got the spoken word Neil stuff. You got the darker stuff, the heavier riff. You know, maybe in that song the chorus didn't hit as well as maybe Neil or the guys thought it might, and that's basically, you know, how other way we strive for excellence. It's like a corporate slogan. You know, how cool can you make that sound? Neil makes it sound as cool as it can fucking sound, but it still falls a little flat. But 3.5 out of 5 is a great score for me, and it's a great album. I'm going to listen to it again for sure. And if you want to look at us some more, hit subscribe. Hit the notifications too, if you so desire to do so. And we're on Patreon, which you can find through our thrallsofmetal.com link. And also pick up a shirt while you're there.
And of course, thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, all the cool shit you guys do for us, because you are the life's blood. You are what keeps us going. And we have tons more coming. Pantera is done. It is chopped up. It is going to be coming out probably, I would say, Wednesday. That's, you know, I believe the day will be coming out. So, yeah, we can finally move on to another discography ranking, because we've been kind of stalling on this one for a while. But we can't wait to unveil that one. And, of course, tons more coming, because we're obsessed losers for metal. And Clutch, too. And Clutch, too, even though they're not really metal. But we're obsessed about them, too. But either way, thank you all so much for watching, and we will catch you later.